So in this lecture, we're going to talk a bit about IP addresses and MAC addresses side by side. I know we've done previous lectures on MAC addresses and IP addresses separately. However, now I want to put them side by side so you can see the differences, and I hope it really makes all of it make sense now. So let's go ahead and let's start with the basics. Let's talk about the OSI model. And remember, this is something that is a conceptual model, and it's something we're going to be talking about throughout the course, and we want to use it to understand how networks work. So we need to understand what layers IP addresses and MAC addresses are on. Remember that IP addresses are going to be on layer 3, which is the network layer. And MAC addresses are going to be on layer 2, which is the data link layer. And this will make a lot more sense as we go on into the course. Now also, remember that a MAC address, that's that physical address. And it's never going to change. Remember, it's actually physically burned into the network interface card, so it's never going to change. However, an IP address, your 192.168.1.1 or whatever it is, that dotted decimal notation that we talked about, remember that that's going to change based upon whatever network you're on. If you're on your iPhone, you're on your home network, it's going to be a separate logical IP address than if you go to Starbucks and you get on their network, you're going to get a different IP address. So that's the main differences. However, there is a really big difference that we have yet to talk about, and I'm going to introduce that right now. So let me get my highlighting tool out so I can help highlight this and make a lot more sense. So IP addresses are used to communicate in different situations than MAC addresses. So let's start with MAC addresses. MAC addresses are used to communicate in what we call internetworks, meaning one specific network. However, an IP address is used to communicate between networks. So for example, if you have a home network set up, let's say that you have a home network set up and you have your laptop and you have your desktop and you have your network printer, your MAC address is what's going to be used to communicate on that home network, because that's one network and we call that an internetwork. However, when you're at home and you're trying to communicate, let's say you're trying to get onto Gmail and you want to check your emails, or maybe you want to go to wellsfargo.com and check your bank account, that's what we consider network to network communication, and your IP addresses are the addresses that we're going to use. So to communicate from one network to a distant another network that's not connected to yours, we have to use our IP address. And what we call this is that we call this WAN communication. We call this wide area network communication. And let me change this color so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is what we call wide area network. A wide area network is something like the internet because it's multiple networks connected together. However, your home network is what we call a LAN, which is a local area network, meaning everything's local. And so that's a new concept that we introduced now. IP addresses are for network to network communication, where you're trying to connect and communicate with an entirely different network. MAC addresses are for communication within a single network, where you're trying to connect to local devices and communicate with them. And so just remember that, and remember these few key things, because we are going to go into details and we're going to talk about this more when we talk about hubs, switches, and routers and network communication in the same network versus network communication in other networks. So if you have any questions about this, please let me know. If not, thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the next lecture.